All right, here's a question for you. How do you teach an AI to have good taste? It's a fascinating problem, right? We're diving into this whole new world of AI where just being correct isn't going to cut it anymore.
Okay, so it all kicks off with this idea that you've probably heard of, the vibe check. We do it all the time with people, with music, and it turns out coders do the exact same thing with AI. They get some code and they'll just keep tweaking it, refining it until it passes their vibe check, until it just feels right.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth do you teach a computer to pass a vibe check? Well, a team of researchers decided to tackle exactly that. Because, when we're talking about AI, a vibe isn't just some fuzzy feeling. It's actually a super important part of what makes an AI genuinely useful. And here's the kicker. It's something we've never really been able to measure, until now.
Think of it like this, okay? Let's say you ask an assistant to bake you a cake. The old way of testing AI is basically just asking, hey, is this thing edible? But what we're talking about here, this vibe coding, is like saying, I want a vegan, 3-layer chocolate cake, and oh yeah, it has to have blue frosting. See? It's all about getting those specific details and the style just right, not just, does it work? So for the longest time, the way we've measured coding AIs has been super simple. Basically, does the code run or does it crash? That's it. But what this research is showing us is that we've been looking at it all wrong. We've had this massive blind spot. And this really shows you the disconnect. On one side, you have the standard AI tests, you might hear them called Pass-It-K, which really just check for one thing, functional correctness. Does it run? Yes or no? But on the other side, what humans actually want is so much more. It's not just does the code work, it's is it clean? Is it easy to read? Does it follow my specific kind of quirky rules? It's the difference between asking, does the car drive, and is it a well-designed car? Is it efficient? And hey, is it the right color?
And here's the really wild part. What the researchers found is that the AIs that get the highest scores on these old-school tests, they often aren't the ones that actual humans prefer to use. So a model can get a perfect A+ in the lab, but get a total F from a real person trying to get work done. It's a huge deal. It means we've basically been measuring the wrong thing all this time.
Okay, so how did the researchers fix this? Well, they did something pretty brilliant. They took this fuzzy, subjective idea, the vibe, and they found a way to actually measure it, to put a number on it. They called it Veracode. And what it is basically a whole system of verifiable rules that capture what we humans actually look for, so a computer can just automatically check them. And just like that, a subjective vibe becomes a totally objective pass or fail score. And you can see exactly how it works here. They took all these common things that programmers say, like, hey, keep your lines of code under 88 characters, or don't let any function get too complicated, and they built automatic checkers for each one. So now, a vague request like make it clean gets broken down into these concrete, totally testable rules. And this wasn't just a random list. They went through hundreds, literally hundreds of industry-standard rules from big company style guides and common programming tools. And they managed to boil it all down to this core set of 30 verifiable instructions. That's it. 30 rules to define the vibe. So using these rules, they built this brand new testing ground called Vibe Checker. And this thing finally scores AIs on both correctness and their ability to follow instructions, substance and style. So of course, the big question is, how did the best AIs on the planet actually do on this new, much, much tougher test? All right, let's get into the results. The researchers put 31 of the world's top large language models through the ringer. We're talking models from the big names like GPT and Claude. And the results? Well, they were pretty eye-opening, to say the least. So, finding number 1. Asking an AI to follow stylistic rules can actually break the code. Yep, you ask it to make things look pretty, and suddenly the whole thing stops working. It's kind of like telling a chef to focus so hard on making the plate look beautiful that they completely forget to, cook the food. And this chart here really spells it out. Look at that. When you give the AI just one little style instruction, the error rate is around 6%. But when you give it 5 instructions, that rate jumps to over 9%. The number of game-breaking errors nearly doubles. The more you ask of it, the more likely it is to mess up the basics.
Okay, finding number 2 is a big one. AIs are really bad at multitasking. Even the absolute best models out there can handle 1, maybe 2 instructions at a time. But after that, their performance just falls off a cliff. It seems like they're fundamentally single-minded.
And get this, 46.75%. That's the score of the best model they tested. It could only follow all 5 instructions at the same time, less than half the time. I mean, in school, that is a solid F, a failing grade.
And they also found this classic lost-in-the-middle problem. It's fascinating. The AIs would almost always follow the very first instruction and the very last one, but they just completely ignore the ones in the middle. It's just like when you try to remember a shopping list, right? You always remember the first thing and the last thing, but the stuff in the middle, poof, it's gone. It's a really cool peek into how these models actually think.
So let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? Why does any of this matter? I mean, why is the vibe so important if it's not just about making code look nice?
Well, it's because it totally changes how we decide if an AI is any good. To prove it, the researchers took their vibe checker scores and compared them against, get this, over 800,000 human votes on AI code. They wanted to know what real people actually prefer. It's not just about what works in a vacuum, it's about what works for us.
And here is the absolute key takeaway. For real-world programming tasks, an AI's ability to follow instructions, the vibe, was more than twice as important as just writing correct code when it came to predicting what humans liked. Let that sink in. The vibe is literally the difference between an AI that's a helpful partner and one that's just frustrating.
So for users, this means AIs are going to get way better at understanding the subtle stuff. For the developers building these things, well, now they have a real blueprint for training AIs that can actually collaborate with us. And for the future, we're really moving from seeing AI as just a tool to seeing it as a genuine partner. This whole idea goes way beyond just coding. It's about creating AIs that don't just hear what we say, but actually get what we mean.
And the researchers really put a fine point on it. They're saying it's time to move beyond these simple pass-fail tests. We have to start optimizing for both the functional stuff, does it work, and the non-functional stuff, does it have the right vibe? We need to evaluate AI in a way that actually matches how we use it in the real world.
So the next time you're using an AI, and it gets the facts right, but it just completely misses the point, now you'll know why. It might have passed the technical test, but it totally failed the vibe check. And thanks to this work, that's a problem we're finally learning how to solve.
I mean, this just opens up so many possibilities, right? For more creative, more intuitive partnerships between us and machines. It really makes you wonder, if we can teach an AI to catch a vibe, what else is possible? What's the next big thing we can collaborate on? Thanks for diving into this with me today.